And then there were all of the War Games developments this week, which bleeds into my Survivor Series predictions. So let's get into that now. Survivor Series is live next Saturday from Petco Park in San Diego. I'm missing out on a Thanksgiving get-together with friends to watch it. So you better be joining me for the post show that night on YouTube. Big crowd expected, over 30,000 fans, their first time that they're having a PLE in San Diego since 2008. The year after I started this podcast, that's how long it's been. And it's an outdoor stadium, the first Survivor Series to ever be held in such a place. We've seen WrestleManias there, we've seen Royal Rumbles in open-air stadiums and baseball stadiums and SummerSlam, but never Survivor Series. And there will not be enough time to get to the finals of the John Cena tournament for this show, so the finals are going to have to wait for TV at a later date. That means only 4 matches on the card this year. Now, we have Raw tomorrow night, so it is possible they could add a 5th one. But right now, 4 matches on the show, which means a lot of time for the War Games matches. Last year, I checked, they lasted around 40 minutes each, but they still had 5 matches on the card. So I don't know if that means we're going to get longer War Games matches this year. I mean, AEW just did Blood and Guts not even 2 weeks ago. The women's match went 45 minutes. The men's match went almost an hour. So who knows? Maybe we're looking at a similar situation here. But in women's War Games, AJ Lee will join Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss against Becky Lynch, Asuka, Kairi Sane, Nia Jax, and Lash Legend. And they set this up at the end of SmackDown on Friday night, where Rhea Ripley and her teammates were out there. Her and Charlotte, they had a little d'entente backstage, and I guess they're back on the same page now. And Rhea introduced their 5th member, and AJ came out. As AJ was making her entrance, though, all of her partners got jumped in the ring. So AJ comes rumbling down to the ring, and as she's about to hit ringside, she got blindsided by Becky Lynch. And the heels beat up the baby faces. Nia Jax squashed Rhea in the corner with the Annihilator. And the heels were left standing, and Becky Lynch shook hands with Asuka, and that was the parting image of SmackDown on Friday night. So that's how we got to this place. And I mentioned the spoilers for the show this coming Friday. Here's another one, because they had the woman advantage match that they taped. It'll be airing this Friday. It's going to be Charlotte against Asuka. Charlotte Flair beats Asuka in the advantage match, which means the babyfaces have the advantage, which is never an ideal situation in a War Games match. You want the babyfaces to be fighting from underneath, but you can't go ahead and just have the heels win every advantage match every single year. So the babyfaces won it. I'm sticking, my original thought or prediction on this was that the babyfaces go over. Even though they have the advantage, I'm sticking with that. And I think it's going to be AJ, Rhea, Io, Charlotte, and Alexa who pick up the win here in this match. And it really just boils down to who takes the loss. Because I don't think it's going to be Becky. And I don't think it's going to be Asuka. I don't even think it's going to be Nia. I'm thinking Kairi. I'm thinking they want to protect Lash Legend, who has been made to look strong so far since she got called up. I wouldn't be beating her in this match. So if I had to boil it down to who takes the losing fall, I'm going with Kairi Sane. We have Nikki Bella challenging Stephanie Vicaire for the Women's World Championship. There was a segment on Raw Monday night, as great as that show was, it was easily the weakest and worst thing on the entire show, where Stephanie came out for a promo. She didn't make it beyond the stage, and she got jumped, ambushed from behind by Nikki Bella, who threw her one time into the video wall. And Stephanie, who wasn't unconscious or anything, but she had to be on the ground as Nikki Bella looked down and cut a promo on her for far too long. And the fact that Stephanie just laid there and looked up at her, like, it was just so dumb. And it made Stephanie look so weak. And the promo, I just thought, fell flat. So there's not a whole lot of excitement. There's not a whole lot of momentum going into this match. It would be a sin if they took the championship off of Stephanie and put it on Nikki Bella. So I'm going with Stephanie Vicaire to retain. I don't realistically expect them to put the belt on Nikki Bella here, but there was a thought that I had. I even floated this on TNT the other night. I kind of regret that I did. But you can't discount the possibility that if they wanted to shock you, that we could get some twin magic in San Diego. and have the return of Brie Bella, where she gets involved in the match behind the referee's back and helps her sister win the championship. And then Stephanie has to fight to get the belt back. And look, I mean, if Stephanie wins the belt back, next month or at the Rumble or something, whatever. As long as the belt gets back on her for WrestleMania season, there's no harm, no foul. But man, I mean, who's asking for this? But I did think of it the other day. I said, wait a minute. If they really wanted to cement this Nikki Bella heel turn, they would have Brie Bella show up from under the ring or something and do this twin magic bullshit and help her sister win the championship, and that would be the way to do it. She's not beating her clean. I hope that doesn't happen. I'm sticking with Stephanie to retain. In his final Survivor Series match, John Cena will defend the Intercontinental Championship against Dominik Mysterio. John Cena has had some memorable matches at the Royal Rumble. He's had some memorable matches at WrestleMania, although not as many as you would think for a guy of his caliber in that company. But he's had more memorable matches at SummerSlam than he has at WrestleMania. But not really at Survivor Series. I was thinking back, what are some of John Cena's greatest Survivor Series matches? There's really not a whole lot of great ones to speak of. He had a match with Kurt Angle in 2005 that doesn't really stand out to me. I think by default, if I had to make a choice, his best Survivor Series match probably was the triple threat match with Shawn Michaels and Triple H in 2009. So this legitimately could end up being his best Survivor Series match when you factor in the big crowd and the stadium setting and the emotion of it being his last, Survivor Series match ever. And then if the two of them just go out there and have even just a good match, it could very well end up being his best Survivor Series or most memorable Survivor Series match of all time. This championship needs to find its way back around the waist of Dominik Mysterio. And I would be saying this about anybody who was in this spot, even if it wasn't Dom. But what I don't want to see is John Cena take that title all the way to his last match, especially if he's wrestling Gunther on Saturday night's main event, which it looks like he absolutely is going to be doing. That match does not need the Intercontinental title. It is pointless. It would be stupid to have him take that championship into that show unless they had some other plan for the belt between now and then. But Cena, he's got 2 appearances left. He's got Survivor Series, and he's got December 13th. And unless he's added something new, that's it. So this is their last chance before they get to that final match to get that title off of him. It's also an opportunity for them to give Dom a win back, which would be huge for him to be able to go around, even though, I'm sure he'll have help in doing so. But in his hometown, big stadium show, 30,000 plus people at Survivor Series, the second to last opponent that John Cena will ever see, to be able to go around for the rest of his career and say, I beat John Cena. I beat John Cena for a championship at Survivor Series. How does he do it? I'm predicting that we get the return of Liv Morgan on this show. And I think Liv Morgan is going to help Dom regain the title from John Cena. Now, there may be other people from the Judgment Day who get involved, maybe Balor or somebody, and it backfires. But in the end, Liv Morgan, I think, is going to reemerge, and she is going to help her beau win his belt back. But no matter how they do it, that has to be the outcome here, no matter what. Dominik Mysterio should win and will win back the Intercontinental Championship. And in the men's War Games match, we have Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and the Usos against Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, who had a bad night in War Games last year when he came off the top of the cage and shattered his talus bone in his ankle and his foot, which he's still not 100% recovered from and never will be. Hopefully he learned his lesson. But we got the Bronze, we got Logan Paul, we have Drew McIntyre, and we have Brock Lesnar in his first ever War Games match. Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, they both returned at Madison Square Garden on Monday night. And all I could think when I saw them out there in the ring and I realized that they were going to be on opposite sides in the War Games matches, they lied to us. I haven't forgotten what they told us 3 years ago when they had that last man standing match, that was going to be it. I've seen enough Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar to last me a lifetime. But we're getting it again, one more time at Survivor Series. Cody Rhodes came out on Friday night. That's when he gave Bronson Reed the crossroads on the floor. cost him his match against Carmelo Hayes. He got up on the table. Now, this was after an angle they shot at the beginning of SmackDown on Friday where they found Cody bloodied and beaten and laid out on his bus by Drew McIntyre. So Cody comes back out later in the show, and he's got the wound on his head. And he stands on the announce desk, and it was only like 2 minutes long, but he cut this intense, fiery, great babyface promo. He was ripping on Paul Heyman and all the members of Team Vision. Told Braun Breaker that historically, a Rhodes has always been better than a Steiner, or however he phrased it. A Steiner will never be better than a Rhodes. And actually, Bronson Reed was the only member that he actually put over. He said he was maybe the best out of all of them, which I thought was kind of interesting. Then it said, Brock Lesnar, don't forget, the last man to beat you here was me. Twice. And then he talked about War Games being his birthright. This was one of the better Cody promos. I thought that the way he delivered this and the way the fans reacted to it, this was a top babyface promo here. Going into a match that does mean something to Cody because it was his father's idea, right? It was his whole concept back in the mid-'80s. War Games was born out of an idea that Dusty Rhodes had. And so, of course, Cody, it means a little something extra to him. But I thought that was just a great, it wasn't the go-home promo because we still have another week, but that would have been a great go-home promo for the babyface side. It is hard for me to envision Brock Lesnar being in a War Games match and his team not winning. So I'm going with the heels, going with Team Vision to go over here in this match. So I have the baby faces in the women's match. I have the heels in the men's match. There'll be drama, I'm sure, with Roman and the Usos. Remember, Roman said he didn't want to see the Usos. Roman's going to be, I think he's opening the show tomorrow night. So that drama may play out tomorrow on TV, but I'm sure there will be drama with them, drama, with Roman and Cody or Roman and Punk who don't like each other. Although they were both in War Games last year and they won. So however, whatever story they tell, whoever it is that ends up, losing for the team, and I don't know, I'm trying to think who that would be. I mean, Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso is the one who probably is, the one who makes the most sense to surrender in a match like this. It could be Jimmy or Jay. It's not going to be Cody. They're not going to have their top babyface surrender. They're not going to have Roman Reigns surrender. So that leaves Punk, and that leaves the Usos. It's why the Usos are in the match, right? If they're going to lose, maybe they're going to win, but if they're going to lose, it has to be one of the Usos. They're going to have the man advantage on Raw tomorrow night. So we will find out then who goes in with the advantage on Saturday. But that is your Survivor Series card as of Sunday. Again, they could add one more match on TV this week, but it's looking like a 4-match card. And I will be live on YouTube for the post show next weekend. So I hope to see you there.